won't believe it, in 700 years on Earth, there'll only be one robot left, and a cockroach for company. The rubbish is piled high, and humans have already escaped into outer space. The robot's name is Wall-E. The cockroach is his favorite pet. Its daily job is to clean up the rubbish left behind by humans. It's been working for hundreds of years. This mountain of rubbish is its masterpiece because of its daily work. How many of its tracks have been broken? The little cockroach can't stand the bumps. Luckily, he found his broken companion in the rubble and replaced it with a new one. And after 700 years, Wall-E has developed a sense of autonomy. It likes to collect human objects, like the life source shield, the box with the big diamond ring, and his favorite was a videotape. Even though it had seen it tens of thousands of times, every time it shows the hand-holding scene, his eyes are filled with longing. This endless loneliness. It's been suffering for centuries. It wants to have a little companion by its side, but in the end, he could only hold his own hand. That day, while working, it accidentally found an old refrigerator. It cut the door with a laser. Inside was a sapling. Inside was a growing sapling. There was finally new life on Earth. He picked up the sapling carefully and put it in his bag to take it home. But on the way back, he found a red laser. Out of curiosity, it chased the laser for dozens of miles. Then it was surrounded by lasers. The earth shook and sand flew. Wall-E dug deep into the ground. He hid underground. When everything calmed down, he peeked out cautiously and found a white robot scanning the ruins. Soon it was happy to fly up into the sky and hovered freely in the air. Wall-E was fascinated, but when he accidentally dropped a stone and he shot it out of the sky, the stone was blown to smithereens. Wall-E hides behind him, trembling with fear, but he still quietly followed Snow White because he was so lonely. But it wasn't long before he was discovered by Snow White. He was almost blown to death, shrinking into a square box. White scanned the box, after scanning it to make sure it's not in danger. Then he let it go. So Wall-E followed him every day, trying to make friends with him. When he was asleep, while he was sleeping, he made a robot just like him. After all his efforts, White finally accepted him, but then a sandstorm hit. Wall-E took him back to the base. Then he took out his own treasures. He wanted to share it with him. White took the bubble wrap. He's happy to burst one. Hey, it looks like this stuff is quite popular. Then he poked them all at once. Wall-E took him to see his favorite blogger. The film I narrated. He danced along with me. I didn't realize that Snowy was too high after listening to it. He couldn't control himself. He pushed Wall-E into the wall. Then he took out the sapling. White scanned it for a while, immediately began to tremble. Then the sapling was taken into his stomach. White went into hibernation. No matter how much Wall-E called, there was no response. Just look at these two robots. Wall-E keeps White in the sun, hoping he'll wake up, even when it rained. He didn't give up. Despite being struck by lightning several times, he still wanted to give him an umbrella. In the end, he had no choice, so I tied it to my body and took it with me wherever I went and watched the sunset with him. But he never woke up. Wall-E had to go to work first, but then the spaceship arrived. It took Snow Bear back. Wall-E tried his best to chase after him. Finally, he fell on the outer wall of the ship. He followed him into outer space. He saw the vastness of the universe. He reached out and touched the beautiful stars. I don't know how long it took. The ship found a huge ship, and Wall-E got in by mistake. He saw all kinds of robots. They were all working in perfect order. They were all working steadily. And there were a lot of fat, bloated people flying around in flying chairs. They hadn't been off the ground since they were born. All the services are done by robots. All you have to do is press a button to change your clothes. The robots will bring you whatever you want to eat. This has caused humans to become lazier and lazier. Our limbs are deteriorating. Wall-E followed White to the control room. He met the fat captain. He was surprised by the news that White had brought back a plant. He was surprised because it meant they could return to Earth. However, when the captain gave the order to open White's stomach, the plant was gone. The chief robot reported to the captain. White's memory is malfunctioning. When the captain heard that there was no need to go back to Earth, he breathed a sigh of relief. He told the droid to take it to the repair center. Wall-E was too dirty. Wall-E was also sent for cleaning. When he left, he shook the captain's hand. It scattered some soil. The captain was curious about the soil. He had it analyzed by a robot. The results showed that the soil came from Earth. Looking at the beautiful picture, the captain was instantly intrigued. His eyes were full of curiosity. Wall-E, who was in the maintenance room, seeing White's arm removed, he thought he was hurt. Then the head was gone. He immediately used his laser to cut through the door and rushed in without a second thought. Grabbed the arm from the repairman's hand. Instead, it fired a cannonball and knocked out a switch in the maintenance room. The robots that malfunctioned here think of Wall-E as a hero. They rushed out of the maintenance room with it in their arms, but White and Wall-E are being targeted by the security system. By the security system, they are being hunted by all the security guards. They hid in a small room, but they overheard a small robot holding a sapling. A small robot is carrying a sapling, ready to be sent to space for destruction. It turns out that the robots are trying to prevent humans from returning to Earth. They stole the sapling. After White got the sapling back, straight to the captain, he showed this sapling of hope. When the captain saw this strong little life, he was determined to return to Earth. This sapling sapling is the hope of mankind. But the robots took the sapling and threw it in the rubbish bin. Wall-E, who was in the boat, picked it up. The robot tried to grab it. It put the sapling in its stomach, but the Chief Sheep's robot electrocuted him. It stunned Wall-E, and White was forced to shut down and thrown into the rubbish bin. Even the captain was imprisoned in the command room. Is there no hope of returning to Earth? When White woke up, he found that Wall-E's motherboard had been burned out. He searched the ruins for many motherboards, but none of them worked. At the last moment, Wall-E pushed White away and dragged his broken body towards the sapling. He gently picked up the sapling and handed it over to White. Then he picked up his motherboard, suggesting that it can be replaced on Earth. Knowing this, White no longer hesitates. He gave Wall-E a princess hug. He picked up Wall-E and rushed out of the junkyard. They ran through the corridors. They were soon spotted by the scouting robots, the sheep's security guards. All of the sheep's robot security guards were mobilized to catch them, and the trapped captain didn't give up. He turned on the live broadcast to guide Ziobai to put the sapling on the center console so that the ship will be forced to return, and he used the projector, and then he used the projector to trick the chief robot into coming over and fought with it. In a very difficult situation, he pushed the switch on the console, and the people on the ship also noticed this change. They all gathered together, rushing to the little White, immediately flew towards the console. At that moment, the chief robot shook off the captain. The whole ship tilted. Sapling fell with it. Everyone fell to the side. White had to save them first, but the chief robot shut down the console. Wall-E could only use his broken body. Wall-E could only use his broken body to hold on. When the chief robot saw this, it turned up the pressure to the maximum, and Wall-E can't hold on much longer. He slipped and was crushed. The captain is furious. He stood up with great difficulty and walked towards the main robot. He jumped on it and fought with it. Finally, he pressed the shutdown button on it. White rushed to Wally's aid. Then the people took over. They threw the sapling to White and put it in the console. The ship started counting down to return to Earth, and Wall-E died. After a time warp, the ship arrived on Earth. When the hatch opened, White immediately returned to the base with Wall-E in his arms. He turned into a repairman. He's been doing a lot of work. Wall-E finally woke up, but he's lost all his memories. He only knew how to deal with the rubbish on Earth, even his favorite cockroach. Wall-E was crushed by him. White took Wall-E's hand in sadness and leaned his head against it. Then he was about to turn around and leave, but then Wally grabbed his hand. His eyes were rolling back and forth. So it's just a slow reader. They were finally together again, and the rest of the humans planted saplings of hope. Soon the Earth was covered in greenery. In the film, it takes 700 years. In the film, it takes 700 years for a sapling to be born, but in reality, it took tens of thousands of years to create the environment for humans to live in. But human beings are destroying it recklessly with the rapid development of technology. Both forests and oceans, in just a few decades, have suffered unprecedented damage. Protecting the environment is everyone's responsibility. Don't wait until you lose it. Don't wait until you've lost it before you appreciate it.